Okay, hello. Hello friends. I am just getting myself in order to record this podcast episode. This is going to be a live podcast recording all about pivoting. But not only about pivoting, but really thinking about I'm looking at specifically my pivot that I'm currently in, why I'm in a pivot, what I'm thinking about, how I'm approaching it, what my goals are to come out of it, all of the nitty gritty. Um, and I'm actually excited to be talking more about this. I feel like we don't often hear from people when they are in the midst of a pivot. Oh, I'll probably bring my microphone over. We don't often hear from people when they're in the middle of a pivot. It often is, you know, I pivoted and look at me now, or just here I am and life is amazing. We don't always get the messy middle. And listen, whether you are in a pivot or not, there is always a messy middle. That's just the long and short of it. And anybody who has success or anybody who has made it, which is a whole other thing that we could talk about, has had to build it, unless you just inherited something and there you were, right? Or you were born into the success, which is another thing that people do. Um, so we, I think, need to be talking about building it, because what I know for myself is that my life is not static. And as much as I want to hit the arrival place for my creative work, my business, who I am as a person, my identity, how I'm moving through my life, as much as I want to hit that static place, we're always evolving. And when you think about evolution and the human race and living things, like, great. Evolution is actually great. That's how we continue to adapt. If we're not evolving, we're dying off. So we don't want that. But in the moment, evolution feels so vulnerable. And when we are exhausted and already at like maxed out capacity, any new thing can just be like, oh my God, I don't have time for a project. Then we pile on top of that our love of projects. If you're anything like me, I love to start a new project. I am then busying myself where sometimes I don't have space for the actual evolution too, which is another thing that happens. So that's your overview of what we are talking about today. I'm going to just take a moment, have a little sip of coffee, have a sip of water, get my notes on this side of myself, and then we're going to dive on in. Also, if you are here live, thank you for being here. If you have any questions, as I'm sharing or just kicking us off, if you have pivot questions, let me know. If you're listening to the recording of this on YouTube, you can always leave a question in the chat. I love questions. I love, curiosity is a huge value of mine. And I love knowing what you're thinking, because I can't know that on my own. So there's a coffee. Here's the water. I'm also going to shut this window. Much better. And then I'm actually going to take my notes and prop them up right there. So if you see me not looking at the camera, I'm looking at my notes, which are right here, because I'm still sorting out how to do the YouTube live podcast thing. Okay. Hi. Hello. Welcome officially to this week's a new episode of Unperformed Podcast, where we are talking about how to pivot, what it really looks like to be in the pivot without burning everything down. And that without burning everything down is so critical, because I, for 15 years, have heard from people who want to make a change in their life, and yet they aren't letting themselves move forward into that change because a lot of what they already have is working. So Oh my god, I need things to change, but, like, I love my kids. I don't wanna leave my marriage. My job is fine, but I still know I'm still hungry for something, right? I still know that something needs to change. And because we live in a world that feels all or nothing and that values all or nothing, that creates, like, the overwork, burnout cycle, and we can stay in that cycle forever. Because we live in that world, it can be hard to know how to change without burning it all down. So, today I'm taking you behind the scenes of my own current pivot in October 2025. And we are going to be talking about what's working, what's not, what am I keeping, what am I walking away from, and like how I'm actually approaching what comes next. I'm going to be giving you some specifics because the generalities, yes, that might be helpful. You can apply it to wherever you are, but we need more people talking about specifics. And I think especially in 2025, we need more business owners talking about like, I need to make more money because there are a lot of things on paper about my business that's working. And there are a lot of ways that my business does not feel successful. And I might be surprising to people because I've been doing this for a long time. I've got everything figured and I don't have anything figured out. But guess what? I actually don't think anybody does, and I think the people who claim to, we wanna be careful of them because I don't trust them. So, to kick us off, just to add some context, w where I am, I mean, I'm here in Fort Collins, Colorado. Again, it's 2025. I have been running my business for 15 years, and I've been creating content on the internet actually for, oh my god, y'all, 22 years. Is that right? What's 2008 minus 2025? I'm gonna do some math. 2000, wait, hold on. 2025 minus 2008. No, 17 years. Okay, that makes more sense. I was like, what? 17 years. So I've been around. I've seen a lot. I've tried a lot. I've done a lot. I've experimented a lot. I know a lot, which actually can be good and bad. Um, and what I know today is that the old way of doing things is not working. So w- what I mean by that is like the 2017 way of doing things, which I did in my business and like worked at least on paper pretty well. That's not working anymore, right? The internet is not the internet that it was 8 years ago, nor is it going back. And this part also feels really important to underscore that often when we are faced with a pivot, it can be really easy to say, maybe I should just wait it out and have things get better. And what I know in my business is I've actually tried wait it out and hope things get better for a couple of years now. And they haven't, and they're not going to, right? Like we are not all of a sudden going to have tech CEOs be like, actually, I would like to give you more control over the content you see and make you less likely to doom scroll. We've actually decided that like that's unethical and we're going to compromise our profit margin in order to give people back their attention spans. It's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So what I get to do now is make my decisions and really step deliberately into my pivot, knowing that I can stop holding my breath, waiting for things to quote get better. Now, this is about business, this is about social media, but this is also about politics, the world, parenting, relationships, habits, mindsets, beliefs, right? Like, oh, I'll start working out when I'm less busy. Well, literally, Tiffany Hahn is going to say that until she dies. So I'm not going to say that anymore. Instead, I'm going to say, okay, what would I need to do today to actually do some exercise, to actually do something that is good for my body without waiting for things to change? Which also, if you are somebody who's a high achiever, if you are somebody with high standards, that's going to feel hard because you are not actually going to be able to work out at the level that you desire. You're not going to be able to work out at the level that matches your expectations of what being someone who prioritizes her body looks like. And that's okay because we got to shift those expectations because they're actually built on false standards that are not sustainable at all. So I know that the old way of business is not working for me anymore. And when I say the old way of business, I'm talking specifically about marketing, the way that I show up, about selling, about positioning, about the offers that I'm selling and the way that I'm selling. None of that is working. Um, and it feels like where I am today that I need to clear the decks. So, in soap operas, when there's about to be some lovemaking and someone will like sweep the desk, right? They're in the office and they just take everything and sweep it off the desk. That's what it feels like I need to do. It feels like I need to take everything and just d- sweep it off the desk with no regard for consequences and start from scratch, right? Dig into the dirt and start from scratch. That's what it feels like. The asterisk here is with a little bit of perspective. That's not what I'm doing because I'm sitting on 15, 17 years of wisdom. And there's a lot that I've created that I can bring up to the surface of where I am. We're never starting from scratch. Never, never, never. Even if you have to start over, even if you have to have a fresh start, you are not starting from scratch because all of that experience and wisdom that you've gained, it's in your cells. So there's no starting from scratch. And I need all of us to remember that because we are so quick to discount our innate wisdom, which often drives us into the arms of overworking. Different episode, but let me know if you want me to record a whole episode about that. So, the pivots without burning down. That's what I know. And what's shifting is how I'm selling, what I'm selling, how I do things. Because here's the other piece of this is that I have 11-year-old twin daughters, middle school. It's a whole ride. And the long and short of it is I need to be at this desk less. Sitting at this desk, it's not great for my body. It's not great for my family. I just need to be more available to my family, my home, but also y'all, myself. And this is not just about working less, right? It's not just about cutting down my hours, because I also know that being out in my life more, being out in the world more will 100% benefit my business. And part of letting go of the old way is like the overworking, over hustling, the grind. No, 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 no. I am not going to find the success that I want and need right now through grinding. Not the answer. So I said I was going to talk specifics. Let's get into specifics. And I want to share specifics of this pivot through the lens of a recent launch that I had for my Grown Up Gap Year program. This is a year-long program. I have run it. I am currently starting my 4th year of it. I have been teaching year-long courses with one break since 2014. So there are, yes, one, when you're trying to decide what to do, what you want to do, what you're thinking about, one very easy way to approach it is like, what's worked in the past and let's iterate, or even just rinse and repeat. I've tried. So I have taught Grown Up Gap Year. I started teaching this course in 2021. It's a year-long course where you get to really like strategically redesign your whole life so that it is a reflection of your values. Love it. Like I love it so much and I'm obsessed with it. Since 2021, the number of enrollments has gone down. And I keep trying, I'm just going to try. I launched it this year in September, and I will admit I did not do the like long tail workup preamble marketing that I had done in the past. So this is not me being like, I got everything right. What happened? This is, I am very aware of um, shortcomings that I might have in the way that I approach this. But, and for somebody who has been in business for 15 years, my launch that I just had was the lowest number of enrollments and the lowest revenue that I've ever had. So, and I want to be very clear when I say this, I love the people who are in the program. And I'm so excited to get to do this work with them. This is not about like, meh, right? This is information. And it wasn't surprising to me. This confirmed, like, oh, some things need to change. This old way of doing things is not sustainable for the business, right? I am so excited to teach everyone in there. The other thing, though, that was really useful information for me in looking at this offer was that everyone who joined either has worked with me before or has taken a class from me or did a free live thing or came from a referral. I think that there are 2, like, strangers in the group and the rest know me, which also is such great information. It tells me like, girl, you need to be building trust with people. You need to be talking to people, having conversations, reminding people who you are and what you do. We aren't just like, it's not the 2018 everyone knows Tiffany Hahn. We are not there anymore. Great. Okay, good. Let's tuck that away. Um, I also know, right? So there's like the numbers, the metrics, but I also know, y'all, I hate to say this about myself. And I hate to say it too, that it might be true for you. Let's see. How does this land? If you get mad at me for saying that, that's really good information. I tend to complicate things. I tend to overthink them. I tend to, I mean, listen, y'all, this podcast is called Unperform. I am really good at being like, I need to prove how smart I am to everyone. I need to prove to people how capable I am. I need to, like, I want to be important. Yes, I want to be important. I want to be an authority. I believe very deeply in what I do, and I want other people to take me seriously. And that desire of mine can often turn into a performance, into performing success instead of just simplify what's the work. Let me just look at my notes. So the money is dwindling, the enrollments. Um, I need new people. Oh, the other thing when we think about metrics is that, like, since I took, what was the year that I took off social media? I think that was 2022. Took a year off social media, realized I was burnt out. It was a whole thing. My year of no. But since then, since I came back, like, all the numbers, followers, engagement, newsletter subscribers, it's just gone down. And like, there's no, it's just down. We're just going down, or it stays exactly the same. So we need those numbers to go up, right? We need some new people. If you're new here, hi. Thanks for being here. I'm so glad you're here. Um, when I think about simplifying things, sometimes when we think about simplifying and undercomplicating, really, which is underthinking, it can feel like, how dare you ask me to underthink? Like, I take my work seriously. I show up for my people. And I want to be really clear that I can still bring depth and wisdom into my delivery through simplicity. And not only can I, but like the simplest version is actually going to be the most effective for everybody and anybody who's receiving it. We have to remember that, y'all. We have to remember that when we pride ourselves on how highly capable we are, and the world loves to celebrate how highly capable we are, just because you can rewire that, maybe it just needs a new battery. Okay. We can still bring depth and wisdom to the table. Underthinking doesn't mean that we're cutting that off, because remember what I said at the beginning of this conversation. The depth and wisdom of our experience, it's in our cells. We could not remove it from our bodies if we tried. So let's remind each other of that, please. Please. Yes? Yes. Oh, I'm like, what did I say there? What was my note? I'm trying to read my notes. The other reason that I'm in a pivot and part of the pattern that I found myself getting into over the last couple of years is like numbers are dwindling. Metrics show this was not a new thing with the metrics. This has been happening. Numbers are going down. Metrics show a poor direction. If there was a board, they might have like removed me as CEO. Let's be clear. And what I continue to do is either more of the same, throwing spaghetti at the wall, which let's be clear, it's like kept us afloat, right? We're here. Or a whole bunch of what I like to call pretend work, which is work that looks useful, like it's procrastination in a really cute sweater. And so you see it and you're like, "Oh, that looks really important." But it's not. It's not actually what is gonna move me forward. Part of why I've done this is that I have been saying for a couple of years in conversations, I need to change things. I need to do things differently, but I wasn't actually committed to doing that. Uh, I was saying that, and then in my actions, I just kept doing the same things. Anyone else? Anyone else? So there comes a time when you just get over yourself and you're like, all right, well, let's freaking change it then, which is where I am now. Hi, I'm glad you're here. So, how am I approaching what comes next? How am I like living through this pivot? And I'm telling you all the things that I'm bringing to it. Take what works, leave what doesn't, right? But as I share this list, especially if you are someone who either is pivot hungry or is mid pivot or is considering a pivot, or it's just like, I don't know, I feel like things could be better. Great information. Notice if there's anything that you have a knee jerk reaction of absolutely not. That will not work for me because that is whoo, such good information. So, how I'm approaching what comes next, what I'm bringing to my pivot, I'm bringing curiosity. Oh, I wonder. And what curiosity looks like is again, in my way of like, can I just do what worked? Right? Can I do what I know? Curiosity means that I'm open to what don't currently know. Sure. You want me to start baking cinnamon rolls and that's what sustains this business? Fascinating. Let's try it. No, by the way, nobody is saying that. But I am willing to consider that I don't have the answers right now. Fantastic. I'm bringing in nimbleness, which means like noticing and looking around and saying what works, what doesn't, where do I want to go next, but like staying spry on my toes so I can respond to things instead of needing to have that very clear answer and needing to know I'm going to go plant myself over here. Instead, it's like maybe over here, maybe over here, maybe over here. We're moving, we're in motion, which means action is getting taken, which means that we're gathering data. I'm letting things simmer, which is how flavor develops. If you've ever made a stew, you know that. Y'all, again, with the overcomplication, I am simplifying things. Simple wins every day. And a question that I continue to ask myself is how can this be less complicated? How can I simplify this? Both for myself, but also for everybody out there who's like following along or potentially wants to work with me, but has, oops, but has like a very short attention span, which is, I think, all of us right now. I am also looking for tangible things that I can produce, offer, promises, outcomes, deliver because I love coaching. I love talking about ideas, but none of us need more ideas right now. None of us need more concepts. What we need is action, shifting, progress, We need to see forward motion. Are you with me? And so I am looking at myself and saying, am I just like getting caught up in my coachy talk? Or is there something tangible here? Now, we still get to talk about concepts, right? Like we're still going to be talking about concepts, but for what end? To what end? I'm releasing what I've been doing. One of my favorite questions that my friend Michelle asked me recently was, let's take everything you've done and put it on the floor for now. We don't have to like sweep the table the way that I want to. Let's just put it on the floor. And what do you want? What are you craving? What are you thinking about? What are you wondering? Another way that I'm approaching this right now is and there's going to be a tension here, and I want to just be clear that this is a tension that we all need to learn to live with. We all need to learn to live with this tension. Your life becomes exponentially easier when you learn to live with this tension. Is the tension between not having the answer and taking some form of action anyway, but not too deep of an action, not a permanent action, right? We're staying nimble, we're staying curious, we're staying open, but we're not staying put until we have the answer because it is the forward motion that helps us get the answer. Do you see it? Do you see how this works? And what we are also doing is bringing our discernment with us. So my discernment is like it's like I'm Dora the Explorer and I've got my backpack and that's the discernment. I'm never not discerning and using what I know and what I see as data to inform the next step. And sometimes we go really far in this direction, in one direction, and then we're like, "Oh, I actually need to backtrack." But we wouldn't have known we needed to backtrack unless we had headed that way. There is no time that is wasted here. Let's be clear. There is no time that is wasted. So if you have a fear of wasting time, we can say, "Oh, I hear you. I get it." And if it leads you to what's next, it's not wasted time. I'm also another way that I'm approaching things, and I don't think we often get this advice, but it might be helpful for you too, is I'm actually trying to be less smart and sophisticated in my work. I'm trying to pretend like I know less. And what I mean by that is it is in the vein of this undercomplicating and simplifying things. Is I'm trying to really, this is about communicating what I do, designing things. And sometimes I'm too smart for my own good. Sometimes I know too much and there are too many nuances and I want to add all these disclaimers. But what if we didn't? Let's see. Let's see what happens. What I think is that a simpler message is going to connect with more people. Yeah, again, that's what we need. Come on. Come on, everyone. Hey, hey, hey. Um, so what it looks like today. Where am I today? And this is I'm recording this October 22nd, 2005. 2005. October 22nd, 2025. What this looks like today is I think that as of Monday, 2 days ago, I've landed on a working structure for my business, my offers, a flow. Great. But it's all in my head. And it doesn't match what's out there in terms of branding, in terms of messaging, in terms of positioning, even in terms of like what offers I have publicly available. It's a mismatch. Okay, great. Let's just acknowledge that. I don't have to finish everything yesterday. Um I know that for right now, and when I say right now, I mean like the next, the rest of this quarter till the end of 2025. My goals are audience growth, nurturing, delivering things that I've got enrolled. We've got my Bold Yes Collective, we've got Grown Up Gap Year. Those are continuing, right? Those are happening. We are working through those. Fantastic. If you're in either of those, don't worry. We are doing it and I love it. We're in it to win it. And then talking to new people, trying things, experimenting, collecting data, seeing what works and what doesn't, and being totally open, right? I've released all expectations and I'm just watching it like it's a tennis match. Ooh, what's going to happen next? Let's see. Can you feel that the detachment? I want it to do well. I'm showing up fully and I'm just a shrug emoji. Let's see what happens. Which means that I'm building as I walk because it's a business. This is a business and I'm not just shutting it down and starting fresh. Okay, let me see. What else? What else? What's still murky? I want to talk about what's still murky. Because again, we often also aren't given this. I really have one thing that's still murky, and that is, will any of the stuff that I'm working on now actually work? I don't know. I don't know. If I showed up and I was like 1,000,000,000% certain, well, it would be a lie. It would be a lie. And I'm a terrible liar. So I feel hopeful about where I am. I feel hopeful about changes I'm considering. Will any of it work? Let's see. Let's try it and find out. So the questions that I'm asking myself, and these are different questions than what should I do next, which feels death grip, are what can I control? So little. Y'all, so little. What can I control? What can I surrender? And not what do I have to surrender? What are they gonna pry out of my dead body hands? This is like, okay, what if we surrender from the outset? What if I accept that I can't control everything now instead of 4 years from now? And y'all, what feels fun and easy today? Today, what feels fun and easy today? Not what feels fun and easy once I've earned the right to have things be fun and easy. Watch out for that. Because what feels fun and easy to Tiffany Hahn today is tapping into that cellular innate depth and wisdom that I have. Do you see that? That is what we need is we need to learn how to trust fun and easy because that's actually how the beautiful legacy work that we're all meant to create, that we have these dreams and ideas in our brains, that's how we make it real. So y'all, pivot. Pivot. Insert Ross Geller here. I'm going to keep you posted. I'm going to keep sharing this. I am currently, right? I'm figuring out my pivot. I'm figuring out my business evolution, finishing my book proposal. My my goal is to finish that in November. Finish that by Thanksgiving. Great. I'm also though trying to do all of this while only working 25 hours a week. Can I have a 25-hour work week and still be successful and still make all these pieces happen? Let's see. And can I do it while taking care of my body? Let's see. Let's find out. I will keep you posted. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. If you have questions, let me know, leave a comment, or, there are 1.5 million ways to reach me. None of them are a mystery. Um, you're awesome. Thank you, and more soon.